Welcome to week 2 of Sam's Essex Senior League Roundup. Loads of games to get through at the weekend, some cracking results in there, great comebacks, and some big wins. So let's get right into it. Before we get into the results, worth noting that 2 games were unfortunately beaten by the weather. It's pretty heavy rain in parts of Essex and London lead up to the weekend, and unfortunately, Benfleet FC versus Hackney Wick was postponed, as was Salt Tower Hamlets versus Harwich and Parkston. So straight into the results then, and on Saturday, the 24th of January, there was one early kick-off to speak of. Basildon United fell to a 3-1 home defeat over Holbridge Sports, despite getting off to the perfect start through Nikolai Zlatev, who's been scoring a lot of goals for them lately. Sports then levelled 2 minutes later after 10 minutes, thanks to a debut goal from recent signing Kojo Apenting. And that was how it stayed until a second half double from Ellis Devereaux gave Holbridge a much-deserved 3-1 win, despite having Jack Machowski sent off with 2 minutes to go for 2 bookable offences. So a good win there for Holbridge. On to the 3pms then, and it was bottom side Brentford facing playoff chasing Barking, and it was the side higher up in the division that came out 4-2 winners. Ryan Pickles, Chaka Barnett and Sam Edwards gave the visitors a 3-0 lead before Connor Slater grabbed one for Brentford on the stroke of half-time. A second for Barnett in the second half, and a late consolation from ex-Ilford man David Lazzolo ensured a 4-2 win for Barking in front of a crowd of 56 at the Drive. Next up at Burrows Park, Great Wakering Rovers managed to defeat Athletic Newham by 3-0 in front of a hefty crowd of 111. Jack Dickinson, Ben Search and Bradley Rowland all struck in the second half to ensure a well-deserved victory for Marcus Bauer's side. And from one 3-0 victory to another, it was Little Oakley who defeated Housestead Town to remain top of the table. Louis Arnold grabbed the first after half an hour, and 2 further second half strikes from Geordie Papple and Alfie Lambert added gloss to the scoreline. And another 3-0 victory at Maybrick Park, but not for the hosts this time. It was in fact visitors Ilford who got the better of Romford in a local derby. Louis Hiobi grabbed the first after 24 minutes before the 2 Michaels, Michael Adu and Michael Okafor, scored in the second half to secure a fantastic win for inform Ilford. The biggest crowd of the day was found at Caton's Lane, where 190 people saw Saffron Walden and Woodford share the points. It was Jordan Gent's header midway through the first half which gave the hosts the lead, which was cancelled out by Ollie Susiumbo's penalty on the stroke of half-time, and neither side could find a winner in that one, so 1-1 it remained. And finally on Saturday at Wadham Lodge, it was West Essex 2, Sporting Bengal United 1, and a massive win for West at the bottom of the table. Leonardo Pedro actually gave Bengal the lead with 20 minutes to go, but Ethan Earnshaw equalised for West 2 minutes later, and right at the end, Jaden Phillips steps up to bag a massive win for West Essex. There was due to be another match for Little Oakley at the Memorial Ground as they welcomed Sporting Bengal on Tuesday night. That's last night as I record this, but unsurprisingly, due to the very heavy rain, that game was postponed. On to the fixtures then, and we actually have a full cohort of fixtures in the Essex Senior League, weather dependent of course. Starting with the 2pm kickoffs, first of all at the Hive, where Basildon United face Great Wakering Rovers. Basildon sit in fairly comfortably in mid-table at the moment, while Wakering only 2 points off the top as we record this, but they have played more games in the division than most. Benfleet host Housestead Town at Woodside, also in a 2 o'clock kickoff. Benfleet have been in decent form as of late, but Housestead Town looks to have dropped out of the playoff picture for the time being, having played 3 more games than their hosts on Saturday, Benfleet. And finally for the 2 o'clocks at Burrows Park, White Ensign take on Romford in a battle of 15th versus 17th. Due to recent results, Romford are only 4 points off the bottom 2, so they'll be looking to get a massive away result here. At Parslows Park, Athletic Newham play host to Salt Tower Hamlets, who with their 2 games in hand will be looking to close the gap on leaders Little Oakley. Newham meanwhile looking over their shoulder a little bit, so they'll be hoping for a positive result at home against a high-flying side. Next up then, Baysbrook Park plays host to Barking versus Saffron Walden Town, a battle of 3rd versus 6th. So should be an intriguing contest. Walden pretty good on their travels, but Barking very good at home. Should be an interesting matchup. Moving on then to Spa Road, where Hackney Wick face up to West Essex. Hackney Wick, of course, having a pretty enjoyable time back at step 5, sitting in 11th, while West Essex will look for another big result as they look to ease their relegation worries. The Royal Oak plays host to Harwich and Parkston versus Brentford. It'll be Harwich's first game, well, first completed game anyway, for a couple of weeks as they host the league's bottom side. Next up at Cricklefields, little Oakley, top of the league and flying, face the division's form side, Ilford, in what is surely going to be the game of the day in the Essex Senior League. Oakley top of the table, but they're going to a very, very difficult place in Cricklefields against a very good Ilford side at the moment. And at Mile End Stadium, it's Sporting Bengal playing there this week, and they host Buckhurst Hill. Bengal wanting to avoid sliding their way towards another relegation. They're only 1 point above the relegation places, while Buckhurst Hill are another team in form, and as it stands, they're only 6 points off the playoffs. And finally, for the fixtures, a rare Saturday game at Ashton's, as Woodford Town, currently sitting 7th in the league, face mid-table Holbridge Sports. Woodford have only won 2 of their last 7, so they'll be hoping for a decent result at home in front of that noisy crowd. Welcoming a Holbridge side who seem to have been galvanised a bit by the appointment of Mark Harrison, and they seem to be in decent form themselves. Onto the league table then, which I've been referring to, of course, throughout the fixtures and results for this week. But let's have a look at it in all its glory. So Little Oakley sit top with a game in hand as well, but watch out for Salt Tower Hamlets. 3 games in hand on Wakering and Barking, 2 in hand on Little Oakley. They will be right up there come the end of the season, I'm sure. The battle for the playoffs now, very interesting. There's a little bit of a gap opening between Ilford and the chasing pack, but as we all know, anything can happen. Mid-table seems fairly congested as well. Only 2 points separate 15th and 12th. Only 9 points separate Buckhurst Hill in 8th and White Ensign down in 15th. As for the relegation picture, West Essex are only 1 point behind Sporting Bengal United thanks to their victory at Wadham Lodge at the weekend. Romford and Athletic Newham still looking over their shoulder a bit, with 4 and 6 points respectively separating those 2 clubs, and West Essex in 19th. Friendwood will remain bottom still, but as they have 15 games to go, they will feel that anything is possible in avoiding relegation. Something I realised that I didn't do last week, which we did quite regularly on the Back Post show, was look at the top scorers for the Essex Senior League. So, list here. Sefra Walden's Khalil Green leads the way on 18, closely followed by Ollie Sotiimbo of Woodford on 16. Ellis Devereaux, Chaka Barnett and Harry Lusher not too far behind, whereas there's 5 players on 10 goals apiece. So that's it for another Essex Senior League roundup with me, Sam Gardner. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you never miss an upload. Enjoy your game this week, wherever you might be watching football this weekend, and I'll see you next week. Take care.